And we're back. So this would be video 7, and we hit a milestone. We got the transmission in. Other than trying to spline it up between the input shaft and the clutch, it was pretty unremarkable install. My wife was on the barring tool over on the plate over there, and it was just easier for her to ratchet the motor around than it was to try to sit here. I put this in 5th gear to try to make it a little easier. It didn't work, but I mean, obviously this is my original cross member right here, so this bolted right up. This is the new isolator for the G56. It bolted right in here, bolted right up to the transmission. I had the new nuts that go on the bottom side and the new bolt set that goes into the bottom of the trans. So I mean, once we got the clutch splined up, it was super simple. Yeah, so honestly, there's really no mysteries there. There's nothing that's gonna sneak up and bite you if you're trying this yourself. One thing I did want to check, because we used the different adapter plate, is how much, or we used the manual adapter plate that's shorter. I wanted to see how much clutch play there is, or not clutch play, but play between the you can hear that between the clutch throwout bearing and the pressure plate. And I'd say, it's hard to see in there, but I'd say there's less than a 1/2 inch, which makes me feel kind of good. I feel like if we would have stuck with the automatic engine adapter plate, there would have been substantially more right there. And whether or not it would allow the throwout bearing to run off of that input shaft collar or not, you know, I don't know, but I do know that that's tight and everything in there is exactly how it's supposed to be. So now, really the only things left to do down here are the shafts, the transfer case, which I'm about to put in myself right now. It's really not that heavy, I just kind of hoofed it in here. So I'm gonna slam that up, and then what else? I gotta tighten down these bolts right here. The shafts are still away getting cut up, so I don't have a price or anything on those. And then I'll probably just hang the hydraulics. That'll be easy enough. It just now occurs to me that unless the bolts are in the kit, I don't actually have the 2 bolts to hook the slave cylinder up to the bell housing. So hopefully those bolts are in there. Otherwise I'm gonna have to dig through a bunch of random parts and see if I can just find something that'll thread in there. Hopefully pretty strong. But so yeah, not really a big update. I mean, it's a huge part. I'd say this is the most anxiety inspiring part, is slamming in the super heavy transmission. This is definitely heavier than the factory G56, just because of the super duper case. I did put in all the boots, and I bolted the shifter and all that stuff on. I can show you that real quick, just because I wanted to seal it, and also because I'm super impatient and wanted to do shifty stuff. So goodness. So I was sitting in here shifting back and forth a little bit. Yeah, and then I still have the Ford difficult top bell housing bolts. But yeah, so I got that in there. There's no fluid in the trans yet, so I do have to pull that back. I ordered some Redline M85. It should be here in a couple days, but yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, so she's happy. It's gonna run good. Still working on getting a hold of dirty diesel for the tuning, and then the clutch switch and everything. So I'm gonna get on the couple things that I've already outlined and see if I hit any snags. She runs. So I just got done filling the transmission with 7 quarts of my favorite Amsoil Synchromesh transmission fluid. I know there's a big debate on that, what the best fluid is too thin, whatever it is. Never been steered wrong with this, so I ran it 7 quarts right through the shifter tower, a little bit of RTV around the base of it, plopped it on there. They're E12 heads on those 4 bolts that hold the shift tower on. I used a 10 mil box end. It works just fine. You get plenty of oomph on them without stripping anything out. Just got the initial gasket on there. So, how did I get it to run? I guess this is one of those big deals that everybody doesn't want to do the swap over. So, this clutch switch I was talking about down here didn't do anything. I got the tuning from CCS updated. He just changed my files to manual tunes. I downloaded whichever one sounded the best at the moment, and that was it. There was no, I thought it was going to take like a week to write them. He just had them on file and sent them. So I cut this clutch switch off of the harness that it was attached to, because I wasn't getting anything through those wires. I didn't even really feel like messing with it at the moment, so I started just testing wires here. So I hooked a red wire and a white wire to these ones. The red is the power, the white wire is the ground. It's because that's all I had on hand. But let me show you where they went. So, everything I read online was like, oh, it's the 1st and 4th pin, or the 3rd pin, or the 6th pin. And I didn't know what that was because this connector has no pin numbers on it. And I just got confused really fast. So, the red wire, these are the 2 wires that come out of the clutch switch that I just clicked in there. Don't worry about that little guy. The white wire goes straight to this ground. It's a post ground. It's got the ribbon for the chassis ground on it. I just put one of those like hoof looking connectors on there, made sure everything was weather tight, and called it good. The red wire goes to right here, which comes out of this connector. I just clipped it off the back right here. It's the blue, or the yellow wire with the dark blue streamer. There's ones with there's a yellow with a green streamer. There's 2 yellows with a light blue streamer. So don't get it mixed up. It's this one here. It's got a dark blue streamer on it. So I took that one out. I just cut the harness back a little ways, and then I just connected that up. And now it only starts with the clutch pushed in, and it asks me to push the clutch in to go to 4 low. I go to 4 high, and then I go to 4 low, and it just says to complete shifting, like go to neutral. So I push the clutch in, and it switches the screen to say shift in progress, and then it goes into 4-wheel drive just fine. So if you don't want to use the clutch and you're worried about your auto start or remote start or whatever it is, just take this wire right here, the yellow with the dark blue streamer, and send it straight to that ground plug, and everything works just fine. Goes into 4 low, does everything, but the clutch doesn't matter. The clutch, basically, you don't even have to plug in the hydraulics because it doesn't do anything, or plug in the connector off of the hydraulics. So straight to ground with this wire. If you have a bunch of accessories like remote start and things like that, go straight to that post. If you want to use your clutch, send it up to the clutch on the side that has, I believe it's yellow with an orange streamer is what's on that green plug. This one goes onto that wire, and the white wire goes to the black wire on there. So you just basically run 2 wires up, click it in, bring it back down, and that gets everything working. The only thing I don't have yet is reverse lights, and as you can see, I just bundled everything. I'm still waiting to make sure that I have to get this on the road so that I can make sure cruise control works and all that stuff. That is another reason I put the clutch switch into play, is because when you push the clutch switch in, it should disengage cruise control. I would prefer it not to over rev as soon as it drops power, or as soon as the clutch pops. So I don't want over revving, anything like that. I wanted that to work like factory, because I'm trying to fool myself into thinking that it came from the factory with a G56. What else? Alright, so after I get everything working, it's going to be cutting off all these wires and going from there. I need to find how the reverse lights work. I've been going through the diagrams that said, one of them said that on the manual trucks, this green with the white streamer just goes straight to the switch, but I've added power to this, I've added ground to this, or grounded it out and powered it, and reverse lights don't come on. So I think I'm maybe working off of an old diagram for that right there. once I get everything working, I'm gonna take this off all the way from the firewall and strip everything I don't need. But until then, it's just up here waiting so I can see what wires go where. I'm pretty sure that it has something to do with this cluster up here. I think this is what goes back to the reverse lights and all the other lights. So I'm gonna mess with this connector next, see what wires are pinned into it, and see what I can find. Everything else should go. Yeah, so I have to fill the transfer case. I just dropped the rear drive shaft off to get shortened 1 3/4 inches. Once that's in there, I should be able to test drive and do all that fun stuff. But so as far as the tuning goes, I don't know if people are having 4-low issues because the tuning is incorrect or what it is. But basically on my 4th gen 2014, plug this wire in, make sure it grounds out, whether by switch or straight to ground. 4-wheel drive low works just fine. It starts just fine, and there's no codes or anything like that. I would fire it up to show you guys, but actually, you know what? I haven't filled the T case yet, but I can still show you guys what the dash says going into 4-low, because I don't have to have it running for that. And there's all my extra bottles of fluid. Oh, this thing is a mess. It is just a mess. Where are my keys? Where are my keys? Alright, so when I first tuned it, the key got locked in the cylinder and the ABS light was just going insane. And after I disconnected the batteries for about half an hour, I plugged everything back in, all that went away. So I think it was just something about the first time you tune it, you gotta like reset all the transistors and capacitors and whatever's in there. Alright, so I haven't added coolant since I did the bypass, so that's why that's on. But let's go into 4-low. Right there. You can see that's blinking. And you can hear it go wee, and it's in there. Now, go to 4-low. That blinks. Press and hold clutch, it says. Push the clutch in, shift in progress. Boom. Dunzo. And there you go. So as soon as you push the clutch in down there, you got your 4-low. So I will push in the clutch again. Go to 4-high. Shift in progress while the clutch is pushed in. Let the clutch out. Go back to 2-wheel drive. Sometimes it gets stuck in 4 unless I cycle the trans real quick. And I don't know if you guys can hear that on camera, but it was just sitting there saying that it was still in 4-high, and then I just went 1st, 2nd real quick with the shifter, and it basically unloads that, whatever that sprag or that shift collar that's in there. So everything works. The only code I have right now is low coolant, because I have about 2 gallons that are sitting in the garage instead of the radiator. Yeah, so I'm gonna put this all back together, fill up the torque converter, or oh my goodness, I spent so much time getting rid of that thing. I'm gonna fill up the transfer case, and then I'll get all this bolted down, finally tighten my shift knob in place, and she should be styling. I think I need a new radio too. Satellite radios never worked. It's annoying. I hit a bump and it starts like doing this every time I'm driving down the road, hit a pothole, and it just starts changing the volume. Super neat. But yeah, so that's the big update. Try not to let this run too long. That was pretty much it. Yellow wire with a dark blue streamer. Get it grounded out. Everything works just fine. Hooray for 4th gens. Well, it's all together, and it's time to show you guys just how well it drives. I have my trusty assistant wife here as well. So make sure all the lights go off so there's no codes or anything. Oh, we're rolling. Oh yeah. Starter sounds a little bit weird. I don't know if I need a shim or anything, but maybe it's just the new flywheel or something, I don't know. But so as you can see, there's no codes except for my seatbelt. Get that out of there. So we have no messages, anything like that. I am on level 5. maximum. Got the shifter over here. Oh yeah. And yeah, so everything works, and this is just kind of like a closeout video for the main project. The videos after this will probably be more sparse, and it'll just be regular tinkerings with the truck, not so much this particular build. I still got to do reverse lights and then the plastic, so I'll add those in there, but this project is just about done because I can drive to work now, which is super neat. So I'm gonna hand the phone off and then we'll get some driving done. Shift's pretty good. Still incredibly notchy, but I figure that'll probably break in after a while. Hopefully. And it turns out swapping the transmission doesn't make my suspension any better. Super smooth. It's got the typical amount of shake in the shifter, but other than that, I mean, if it weren't for all the fascias and things like that, you'd never know it wasn't a manual from the factory. So I appreciate you guys following along. And yeah, if anything comes up, I will definitely keep everyone in the loop. If you guys have any questions of things that I haven't covered yet, then I do monitor all the comments, so feel free to ask any questions and I will be sure to either make a video or just explain it as best I can. So let's get a rip.